Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Frappe controllers. Can go to Frappe framework.com/docs. Check doc type. We've gone through the doc type, but today we'll work on controller. What is Frappe controller? Here it says a controller is a normal Python class which extends from this Frappe.model.document base class. Well, in simple term, is a Python code that allows us to control the behavior of Frappe during saving documents or during inserting document or retrieving or during the CRUD operation. That is what the controller is. It can be used to write several functions or definitions that works with our code. And the controller works with the object relational mapper ORM. We'll get to see how this ORM works. So in this controller, we have several methods that we can call on to use whenever we try to work with the document. Have controller like before submit, before cancel, validate, before save, after insert, update, and several other methods that we can work with. But first, we work with this validate. And before that, let us take a look at how this looks like. Go back to your editor. Can close this sort of fresh estate estate app doc type property. Go to the this is for the Frappe scripting. This is the document description, the Frappe scripting, and the py. In this file, whichever doc type you have, the doc type name.py is where we write our controller files. This is a class that inherits directly from frappe.model.documents. First thing we do is to add a method or controller to the system. We'll add the code here. We get back to this. For instance, if I save a document, whenever I save a document, I want an event to occur or some handling in the background. Okay, what about when I delete a document or when I'm about to delete a document? I want some checks to be done for validation. What about saving a document, then want another document to be created based on that document created? How do you do it? You work with this controller. Well, how about filtering data submitted to the system or checking that somebody has the right or properties to that document? How do you do that? We do it inside this controller method. First, I'm going to write a controller that validates the document whenever inserted into the system. This option called validated use this method to throw any validation error and prevent document from saving. First, all your method comes under this class property. You define it as a method. First, I'm going to say validate. I'll define is define validate. Whenever I use this keyword validate, the system will automatically understand what this validate stands for. And since it's a class, we use self in the method. On validate means whenever this document is fed or data is fed in, before it saves to the database, run checks. And what check do we want to run here? We do not want to run any check. I just want it to just show me a message. And to do that, I will use some tools in Frappe. There's a tool called Frappe.throw, Frappe.messageprint, and others. Okay, come to JavaScript, dialog API. Please always reference this doc type. It's going to be very helpful. I'll use something like this, Frappe.throw. This is used to show errors. They show error message in a model and throw exception, something like this. Here, I'll drag and copy this, paste it here. You can import this. I do not remember where this was imported from, but since I can't remember, whenever I require, I'll put it here. I'll get rid of this double underscore here. And the Frappe you are using, Frappe.throw, be sure you import Frappe. Right. What this does is whenever a document is about to be saved, it checks. Here, I want to say you are not allowed to save to save. Okay, I'll import the name self dot name. I can also stylize it by putting an HTML. And here, recall you have to put your F string for string formatting. I'll save this and try to save a document. Okay, this document 3 I inserted earlier. I'll try saving this. You can see what will happen. Recall if your document remains the same, you cannot save. I'll just add few characters here to make it look a little different. Different. Wow. You see, he says you are not allowed to save this document name because in the code I added the name with the format string. That is validation. Okay, I can also say that if a house is a flat, is of type flat, then the house should not have outdoor kitchen. Here, we can select from this amenities section, select different types of what is it called amenities. You can add as many as possible. Add backpacking, okay, parking, and save. It will not say because of this validation. I'll comment this validation out first and save. Okay, there's an issue. Why this is commented out, remember to introduce a pass here. Okay, we've saved this. But before going into the code, first, how do we know how to access each of the properties of a document? First, you can access it using an ORM or via SQL queries directly. Let us access this document using ORM. You can create this document, or I'll use the one we have already created. Use number 2. I'll use this 2 002. To access it using ORM, we can use our bench console. Um, sorry, never mind about what you say. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to expand this. Expand this. Okay, beautiful. There's a bench console. This is a shell, a command shell for us to use, a Python shell. Okay, the first I'm going to say is property is assigned frappe dot get doc. Get doc. Okay, I'll do that first. Property, comma, the property name. Okay, this frappe.getDoc is a function or utility that allows us to get a document using the primary key and the document name. And where is this frappe.getDoc referenced? Go back to the documentation, scroll down to document Python API documents. Look at the right hand side, you see so many features you can use. Frappe.getDoc, what does it do? It returns a document object of record identified by the doc type and the doc name. At the left hand side, the first value, the first argument is the doc type, and the second is what? The doc name. That is the primary key of the document. To access each of the information, you can say property dot what have we? Property name. Drop your mouse, you'll see the highlight of the field name. Property name, address, status. Property dot. You can access by property name, property underscore name. That is the ORM, object relational map that allows us to access this without writing an SQL code. The property dot address, property dot property underscore type, flat. And what else? Description, property.description. Okay, I think I used the wrong number. I'm going to use 2, 002. And see the description. We get this whole description from here. And this amenity, we call the field amenities. Property.amenities. Why you see this is that it is more like, I may call it a JSON file, but not really. It has list of items. You can see there's an opening bracket here and closing square bracket. To access it, you can use a for loop. I'm going to add one more field to this. Balcony, outdoor kitchen, and save. Okay, beautiful. And access that once more to update. First, to check the amenities, you can say for amenity in amenities, print amenity dot amenity. Okay, this amenities is this here, the list of amenities. Then amenity dot amenity from the document type of amenities. Let's view the document type, doc type list. Alright. Property amenity detail. The field name is amenity. That's why I have amenity dot amenity. Okay. There's an error. Okay, sorry. For amenity in property dot amenities, we have parking. Why? Because we have not updated, or the console has not updated these documents. I'll exit this shell, go back to the command shell, which is bench console. We run this again and run the for loop, and we have it. Parking, balcony, outdoor kitchen. Right? So that's how you can, how will I call it? Update. Sorry, access file using the object relational mapper. From the object relational mapper, I can update this status as rent. How do we do that? See property dot status. Property dot status is assigned rent. Property dot save. Okay, we have changed the status from sale to rent. Let me try updating that. You can also say frappe.db.commit. That should save any change and exit. You see, this has been changed to rent automatically from this ORM. So we're going to make use of this ORM in our code. And why I exited is sometimes when you launch this console, it kind of locks the database from being accessed. That I don't really know how that worked, but I experienced it to lock the database. Okay, that's it for the now. Next is accessing this from the database. You can use bench, Maria DB. Okay, select property name, property, property type, status from tab. Please recall, I'm going to delete this. Recall every database in Frappe, the name starts with tab, tab. We can describe tables. Expand this. Sorry, show tables. You see each table is started with what? Tab. That's what I want to get clear of. So you can say select property name status property type from tab. Use this type button from not type before your one key on your keyboard. Tab property where name is equals to 1 2 3 4 2. Now you see we have the name is property new to rent and condo. Property new to rent, status rent and condo. But please note these fields here, amenities, cannot be in the table. I will show you that. Describe table or describe tab property. Note if you go through this name you will not see amenities, but these amenities here you see was created when in the beginning while creating this property table I made an error. I said or I described the amenities as link field. That was why that field was created. And when you delete a field from it does not get deleted from the database. Sorry about that. The page reloaded. Take note, these amenities, we earlier described it as a link field, a link. That was why it we see it as a foreign key or a foreign property on the table. That was why this amenity was created. But this field table will not be created in the database property table. It will not be created. Meaning that the difference is that using ORM, you can directly access these amenities. But using the SQL query, you cannot access these amenities. I'm heading somewhere, so please take note. I have not diverted from what I was trying to do here. I have not diverted. I'm trying to make some explanations. We can also check these amenities to see what I'm saying, if it is true or not. You can say, comma, amenities. You see it is small because this was a link field we earlier created and removed. Okay. To access the amenities attached to this property, I'm gonna add the name. To access the amenities attached to this property, we go straight to that amenities table and search based on this property doc type, this property doc type, and the name. First, we can describe the amenities table. Describe tab, property, amenity detail. That should be the table from the doc type list. Yeah, property amenity detail. Because from property, for the property amenity detail, we see we have name, creation date modified by status and amenity. That is the only field there. Here we can select amenity, comma, parent type, comma, parent, parent field, where, sorry, from this table, select amenity parent type parent field from tab property amenity detail parent type. The spelling for the parent type is not correct. We see we have different records in it. We have for this parent, for this and this. We can select where this parent, the parent, what is this parent? This parent um is this property. That is the parent. Then the parent field is the name from the table, this property, the property table, amenities. And the parent type is what? Property, because this property amenity details can also be attached to other doc types. Whichever doc type is attached to, when a data is saved, it will reference the property type. Mean to access this, the amenities connected to any of the property doc type, we can use this query by saying select where parent, sorry, yeah, where parent is equal to 0 and parent type is equals to property. We will have three property: outdoor kitchen, parking, and balcony. You can also check that from the documents. Outdoor kitchen, parking, and balcony. That's what you have. You can access this XY. I'm showing you this because with time as we progress, we will start making use of raw SQL query and ORM. So right now, we can go back to our codes. First, let us validate. We will validate by saying whenever this document, a property type is condo, okay, I'll select flat. Whenever a property type is flat, then a flat should not have an outdoor kitchen. A flat can have a balcony, there can be a parking space, but it cannot have an outdoor kitchen. We assume that a flat should not have an outdoor kitchen. Mean an entity or a user is trying to save a property whose type is a flat and trying to add this outdoor kitchen, it should not allow us to save. How do we do that? I write our code. If self dot property underscore type is equal to flat, then for amenity in self dot amenities, recall this is a class. This self refers to the document property amenities. If amenity dot amenity equal to outdoor kitchen, then we can throw and say property of type flat can should not have amenity. Right? Should not have amenity dot amenity. Okay, we can test. Here, during validation, the system checks if the property is of type flat, and if it's of type flat, then check if outdoor kitchen is in the list of amenities. Once it is in that list of amenities, what should it do? It should throw an error, stop us from saving, and say property of type flat should not have amenity outdoor kitchen. Can run a test, save. Okay, the document remains the same. If it is the same, you cannot save. You have to try and add, introduce more change. It saved. Why did this save? Despite having outdoor kitchen, it saved because our code changes have not been recognized. We can do that by stopping the server and restarting. Take note, if the change you expect did not occur, please restart your server, cancel or stop the server and restart it. Then test your code again. If the same happen, you can use a print statement. You can add a print statement somewhere here. You can say, um, add a print statement. Let's say print. I'll give some blank spaces. Say flat. And say this is found. Anyway, let's test this again. Make small change. Try to save. Wow, beautiful. It says message property of type flat should not have amenity outdoor kitchen. You see how beautiful it is, although no space yet because I did not introduce a space here. That's why you saw that. But whichever way, it worked perfectly and very nice. Very, 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 very nice looking. You can see what we introduced here, flat and found, also printed. I can delete that, delete this as well. Save. That is for validate. You also have different ways to validate. But how did we validate this? We use ORM using for amenities in self.amenities. But we can also run this using pure SQL. And how do we do that? For the now, I'll comment this out. Comment this out from here. Okay, beautiful. First, I'll run the SQL in bench console. So bench MariaDB, bench MariaDB. And what do I say? I'll look through the code and see if the document in question has amenity of type outdoor kitchen. We do that in SQL by saying select amenity from tab property amenity detail where you say where parent is equals to this and parent type is property. Then one more thing, and this. I'm going to reduce this. Okay. No need. I'll write straight first. Later, I can talk about optimizing the SQL query. Enter property dot property. No need. No need. We are okay here. We are okay here. We are okay here. And amenity is equals to outdoor kitchen. Want to copy that so as not to spell it wrongly. Outdoor kitchen. So we have this query here. Copy this as a row, bring it into our code. If self.property underscore type is equals to flat, then SQL. We have a tool in Frappe called, I'll call it amenity is assigned frappe.db.sql. This is used to run direct SQL query in Frappe. Drop this. So we have frappe.db.sql. Select amenity from tab property, amenity detail, where parent is equal to self.name. And this should be highlighted with this F. Self.name. And parent type is property, and amenity is equals to this. Okay, you can print the content of the amenity. Print. Then if this is true, if amenities means that if it is not empty, if it did not return an empty result, then throw this rapid or true. We can test our code to be sure our code is working properly. Okay, I'll do a save first. I made small change to this code here. Yeah, it is working. It said property of type flat should not have amenity outdoor kitchen, but this is not what we want to be printed out. I want this to be printed out. Take a look at our terminal output. The terminal output should give us a moment, should have logged some content to the terminal. Yeah, this is what is logged, outdoor kitchen. But I can access the content, this content directly by adding this to our code. Command as underscore dict is equal to true. This will convert it to a kind of object or dictionary. Since I know that I'm going to get just a single document, so sorry, a single item, if this is true, I can use amenity of 0 dot amenity. Okay, beautiful. Try that again. Make small change here and save. Okay, changes has not yet reflected. To make that reflect, you can cancel this, clear this, start the server. By now, our server is up and running. I can retry this again. Beautiful. Property of type flat should not have amenity outdoor kitchen. And from the terminal log, we also have some kind of dictionary object like information printed. Can see it came out as a dictionary. I said the value of 0 dot amenity. That's why we have this amenity, and the value to this key is outdoor kitchen. Beautiful. Next, we have worked with this. We can change to see if we can save this property. If we this outdoor kitchen is deleted, try to save. Okay, why this occurred is because we still have it in the database, right? By the time we try to execute this code later, you're trying to put it into production. At that point, there should not be such value in the system or in the database. And at the same time, we can write this in the front end using what's it called, custom scripts or JavaScript. By the time we use the custom script, it will not even check the database, it will only check this form to see if such item exists. We'll get to that soonest. I'm going to save this. Okay, a little error here. My error is I should have introduced the pass. Try saving again. Okay, I think the server is trying to reload. Saved, beautiful. While that has saved, I can introduce my code back. And let's see, and add that once more. Outdoor kitchen. Try to save. I save because it has not yet recognized the code. You stop the server and restart. Okay, now the code should be working properly. You can go to this first one, 001. We did not add this earlier. We're gonna add it. Add the property. Try to add outdoor kitchen. Take note of this tennis courts and this. In custom scripting, we would stop this from occurring, having the same data repeating itself. Okay, this last one saved because we did not have this in the database. Recall that it goes through, what is it called? It checks, this SQL checks the database for the item existence. And this checks directly into the file, not from the database. Have this deleted, save, then try adding it back. And what is the type? Flat. Okay, not bad. You can see the error. Property of type flat should not have amenity outdoor kitchen. Beautiful. The next thing I want to do is check another validation method or another controller method, and that will be, I'll comment this out completely and this as well. Next thing I want to introduce is, let's look through the documentation. Yeah, after insert, I want this system to do something after insert. Okay, define after insert self. I only want it to print a message after insert. We can reference the Frappe documents. We have what we call from the JavaScript. JavaScript dialog API. That what we call Frappe dot message print. I'll grab this first. Once inserted, want this. Since I have not imported this underscore yet, I'll just say okay. I'll say document so dot name inserted successfully. You can use this after insert to do several things, like send an email, check for another document existence, check for validity, do different, or even create new documents once this has been inserted. That is what this controller stands for. Okay, define after insert. I'm gonna quit this. Okay, it's reloading, but if it does not work, I'll have to stop this at entirely. To check, say new document, or just going to duplicate this to avoid retyping over and over and over again. Call this property test 1q. Okay, it did not save. Something is wrong. I'll check that from the terminal. It says property of type flat should not have amenity. Okay, get this. If this is still working, it means that we have no, this system needs to be restarted. Although I stated earlier that if this is in this amendment, it should not say port. I commented this out, so that should not occur. I'll try that once more after restarting the server. Sure the server has restarted. Okay, whenever you see this, means that your server has not restarted properly. Dock and action. Just cancel and try again. Okay, successfully started, and you can see the message printed out boldly. Document 004 started successfully. Okay, for the now, I'll stop here on this controller method. You can explore the controller method for several, hooks you can work with. And this can also be accessed directly from the background using document hooks. I mean, something here called hooks. With time, we'll get to explore it. But for the now, we'll stop here on this document controller. Thanks for watching, and we'll continue in the next section of this video. Please like, subscribe, and share.